So this is where I think you should begin, and that's why I have on page 2 of your handout a sheet of paper. And I want you to leave with some brainstorming ideas to help make the drafts that you're working on right now a little bit more specific. So what I'd like you to do right now is actually list your major activities, list any academic strengths you think you have, or any talents or anything unique about yourself. Actually think of 5 of them and see if you can put them down. I find it easier to start with your activities and then work your way down to kind of cultural things. Think right now, 5 things. You're going to have to do it on the UC application anyway, so you might as well get started now. If you've ever babysat for your family, that's a job. If you've ever worked in a family store, in a family business, and if you've never gotten paid, it's community service. Think of all the things that you do at your house. Give yourself credit for them. After you come up with that list of 5, I want you to also think of 5 adjectives to describe what you offer a college. What are the qualities that you need the college to know about you? What kind of person are you? Are you independent? Do you care about other people? Are you creative? If your grades have improved over time, are you persistent? Are you ambitious? These essays are not an opportunity to talk about whether your family thinks you're lazy or not. I've had kids write essays about, I'm lazy, and because I was lazy, I didn't take 9th and 10th grade seriously, and then 11th grade I decided to take school seriously. Don't tell them that. They don't need to know. They don't need to know, that you were selfish when you were little and you wouldn't share. Think of things that are only positive about you. What I need you to do when you're coming up with this list is it will help you as you're writing an essay to think of one of those 5 qualities and turn them all into short paragraphs, and to see of those short paragraphs which one would you like to make into longer essays. So for example, I have a kid who worked she lives in Santa Monica, and she's worked at the aquarium. So she worked at the aquarium, so that's one thing that she could write about in a paragraph. And then she also acted in a play. So she can also talk about acting in a play. She also has a bizarre fascination with sharks. I don't get it, but she does. And so she wrote down that she actually wanted to learn more about sharks, so she took a class where she actually went swimming with sharks. So she's crazy. But what you need to do is write paragraphs and see, do any of these paragraphs lend themselves to bigger essays? I think swimming with sharks is fairly interesting, and it turns out that she's writing an essay about swimming with sharks. Doesn't it make sense? Or she could write an essay about being in a play. Who here has actually tutored another kid at some point in your life? Sometimes those are great essays to write about, because what does tutoring show about you? You're intelligent. The fact that you care about helping other people. I am sure when you're tutoring, you've had to show patience. I would think if you gave a tutoring example of where I had a girl start with a tutoring example where the kid did a spitball at her and hit her in the head. And she said she felt like saying words to him that her Sunday school would not have approved of, and then spent the rest of the activity talking about how she had to use her patience and her compassion to work with this young boy. What you need to understand, there's no topic that they get bored of. It's only your ability to tell the topic uniquely from your perspective. Does that make sense? So if you're going to tell a story, you have to give specific examples, because that's the only way they know that story belongs to you. Has anybody here gone to camp? Some kind of camp? Some people will tell you, you can't talk about camp. I say that's nonsense. If you can tell a good camp story, and you can make it connect to who you are, why not? Who here has been a Girl Scout or a Boy Scout? There have to be great stories that you could tell if you've made it all the way to the top, if you have persisted through being an Eagle Scout. I had one girl write her Girl Scout essay about how a little 5-year-old tugged her hand and said she had to go to the bathroom. And she knew that the bathroom was all the way on the other side of the camp, and that her own counselor, when she was a little girl, had dragged her all the way such that she messed herself. So she decided to break the rules and take the girl into the adult bathroom, and that's what she said. What I've learned is sometimes you can grow from experiences, and sometimes you have to bend the rules a little bit to make a little 5-year-old girl happy. I mean, you could think of that. Anybody here ever had a job? If you had a job, they love you. Why would the UC campus or a private college love somebody who's had a job? Responsibility, maturity. You understand the value of $1. You've taken responsibility to make some money. I mean, why wouldn't you talk potentially? I worked with a kid from San Marino. He had worked in a store where he was a fry cook. You know, he did hamburgers and he did French fries. And he said it may not have been the most exciting job, but it certainly gave me enough money, and I learned enough from interacting with all the people behind on the other side, including many of my friends who came in. And he was able to get his car insurance through it. But, I mean, he told the unique story of being a fry cook for 4 years. Think of something here. Who here has been part of some kind of musical group? Some kind of music? Okay, so if they're going to see 1 million kids from Arcadia that have music on their application, if you've had a unique experience with music, why can't your story be that? Your story with music is your own story. I mean, I had a kid who wrote about that he was part of the band at school for years, and then he discovered hip-hop. And while he couldn't play hip-hop with his band, he certainly could play it at home, and he taught himself how to play a lot of songs on hip-hop, and now he understood that music could be for himself and for other people. I had a girl this year, she's working on an essay about how she's an accompanist for her parents' little band, and how she suffers for her art and their art. But what I'm trying to tell you is every single thing you do, you could think of a specific example that shows how it belongs to you. Has anybody here taken your music or your work and gone into a church or gone someplace and performed for other people, I mean, other than the school? Think about all the places. Has anybody here part of who here is part of a school club? There is information in every activity that you give at school that can actually sell information about yourself. If you get stuck, you can email me and say, Dr. Joseph, I need to see an example of a kid who does community service. And I'll send you an example of an essay. Just believe me, you can't copy somebody else's essay, because the one thing that the UC people do is they check originality of essays. Final thoughts, and then I'm going to show you an essay that a kid sent me that needs help. I'm going to show you an essay that we need to help give the kid some advice.